Hello, and welcome to the Laddercast, where we teach you how to leverage your assets to change your life. I'm Sorcha Porter, and in 2016, I bought my first home, which completely changed the trajectory of my life. I turned that property into a business, a trip around the world, a new career, and quadrupled my household income. And now I'm a real estate agent licensed in Oregon and Washington.
And I'm Shannon McAllister. After finishing college with a degree in finance, I was in a job I hated but couldn't quit because I wasn't making enough money. I signed up for a class to learn about mortgages taught by a real estate investor. 17 years later, I'm a nationally licensed mortgage lender, homeowner, and investor myself. We aim to educate how getting on the property ladder by owning just one home can change lives. It changed ours. Hello, and welcome back to the Laddercast. We are here today, and we're going to talk about Portland neighborhoods that might be good considerations for first-time home buyers.
That's right, we are. We're excited. We wrote this up a couple of weeks ago because we are entering peak home buying season, and I've been thinking about where the best bang for your buck is in Portland if you are a first-time buyer, because the market is competitive.
Sure, and there are places you can focus on if you are a first-time home buyer and you are trying to win a home. There are probably some places you could be focusing on to increase your chances.
Exactly. Now, I think it's important to note some things about Portland for those of our listeners who don't live here. So Portland is one of the most affordable major metropolitan cities in the West Coast, which means we have a lot of people from Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, New York, Denver, Austin, moving here because we're priced so much lower than other places.
We're still considered an affordable city in comparison to those cities that people are moving out of.
Yes. Now, if you're not...
Hard to believe if you're from here and you're trying to say that Portland's an affordable city still. If you're from here, it doesn't feel that way anymore.
Affordable is very much in the eye of the beholder.
Relative.
I wish that it was still a place where you could get a starter home for $200,000. That's how it was when I moved here about a decade ago. And I'm sure Shannon remembers those days growing up here, but that's not really the case anymore. Right now, an affordable home in Portland looks like about $425,000 to $550,000.
Okay.
That is a first-time buyer bracket that I see frequently.
Okay.
And
that's in Portland proper. I see some people's doing some things a little further out. If you want to scoot further out and not be directly in Portland proper, you could probably come in under that mark.
Yes, absolutely. You could get something in Gladstone or maybe St. Helens, maybe further out in Tualatin.
So if you are willing to move outside of the city a little bit, you can get something for a little less than that mark. But today we're going to talk about neighborhoods in Portland proper that are very hot and that everybody wants to be in, that are probably going to start you in the $425,000 plus range.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, everybody who moves here wants to be in neighborhoods like Alberta, Selwood, Hawthorne, Alphabet District, South Tabor for walkability and amenities, but these neighborhoods are really high priced for a first-time buyer, and they're incredibly competitive. For example, Selwood, which is one of the most popular neighborhoods in the city because it's got like water access and lots of parks and a really cute downtown area. Average price of a home listed is $1.2 million, and most sales go for $200,000 over asking.
Swings.
Yeah, it's a lot. But there are a lot of neighborhoods that have a lot of those features that people want out of that particular area for a much lower price point. So we wanted to tell you what they are. And for those of you who are maybe thinking of moving to the Portland area or who are just curious about what the market is like here because you listen to us, this is a good list for you to base your search off of.
So without further ado, here are 5 neighborhoods in Portland you can consider as a first-time home buyer in this $425,000, $550,000 range that have walkability, great amenities, and all the things the cool kids want to be nearby.
Yes.
Here we go.
Starting out with Brentwood Darlington.
Tell me about it.
So Brentwood Darlington's in inner southeast Portland, and it borders Milwaukee and other popular neighborhoods like Woodstock and Westmoreland.
Okay.
It has similar aesthetic as those neighborhoods, but a starting price point is around $440,000.
Okay.
It's going to be smaller houses, usually built between the turn of the century and the mid-century, so you have a lot more mid-century architecture in these neighborhoods, but you have a lot of really cute little cottages. You get the cute little historic vibes that people love from the nearby neighborhoods, but a fraction of the price. And you can walk to Woodstock, which has tons of things to do if you live in Brentwood, Darlington. So that's a really great one for first-time home buyers. It is pretty far southeast, though, so if you're a commuter, you need to take that into consideration.
That didn't used to be a consideration, just so y'all know. Like, it was okay if you lived in deep southeast or outer southeast and you had somewhere to be, you could get there in a reasonable amount of time. It's not really the case anymore. So you do have to think about those things. If you are a commuter or if you are a bike rider or things like this, you do have to consider where you're going to live versus where you need to get to every day. That is now a consideration.
I will say it's pretty bikeable down there. It's not really hilly or difficult to get around. The streets are wide enough. You would absolutely be good to bike to places. In fact, if you do enjoy biking to work and you work in like inner southeast or even downtown, it wouldn't be terrible.
No, I wouldn't think so either. Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, we're going to consider Brentwood, Darlington.
Brentwood, Darlington. Super cute. Cute name, too.
Yeah. All right. That's one we're going to think about. Another one we're going to think about could be Cully.
Cully is pretty cool. Cully didn't used to be cool. Cully used to be kind of like sketch.
It was a little scary for a while, but it's not anymore.
But Cully is now like super, super popular, especially with transplants. I find a lot of my California transplants love Cully. Okay. It's adjacent to Concordia and Beaumont, Wilshire, which are really popular neighborhoods. And if you go to Concordia or Beaumont, Wilshire, you can expect to pay between $600 and $800 for a house. Yeah. But in Cully, you can expect the average list price to be around $485K, with most homes selling around the $500,000 mark. Okay. So because of its popularity and its proximity to those other neighborhoods and its walkability, it does tend to go a little bit over asking price there. But $500,000 and you can walk to Pip's Donuts and McMenamin's Kennedy School is pretty dang good, in my opinion.
All right. In my head, I know where Cully is. I didn't put it in a walkability category with McMenamin's Kennedy School, so that's excellent. Yeah. In my head, I think Cully is its own little ecosystem where people live, and if you live there, you tend to do all of the things you need to do in your neighborhood. Yep. It didn't register that they were so close together. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's really close to those places. It's also like known for parks. There's a lot of really beautiful parks and a lot of good sized lots too. Cully, you can get a good sized lot. And
tend to be older homes.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Yeah, they're older homes, but they also have like a lot of mid-century homes up in Cully. So if you're a mid-century modern like architect seeker, or architecture seeker, or like you just like that style of home, there's actually a pretty decent volume of those homes in that neighborhood.
Okay. All right. So Cully's number 2 on our list. That's okay. Yep. I like that. Faux Foster Powell.
Foster Powell is like right by where I live. It's very close, walking distance to where I live, actually. And it's adjacent to multiple neighborhoods that are pretty popular. So it's a very small neighborhood. Teeny tiny, but it has a really cute little downtown core. And it's right between like Mount Scott, Arletta, Lentz, and South Tabor. Okay. And like South Tabor, you're going to be paying
six plus.
I don't even think you can get into South Tabor for $6 anymore. I think if you're going to South Tabor, you're paying a minimum of $750.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah. I'll get up with the times here.
Yeah. $750 in South Tabor for anything that you would want to live in. Okay. But Foster Powell, you could absolutely get in around $450 for like a cute little 2-1-3-1. Totally doable.
Great.
And Foster Powell has a really cute downtown core area with like a pet store and multiple bars and brunch places. Henry Higgins Boiled Bagels, which is the best bagels in Portland, in my opinion. And I have tested all of them. In case anyone's wondering if that's a well-founded statement, I once did go to every single bagel shop in the city in one day. With Matthew, I dragged him all over the place, and Henry Higgins is the best one. Okay. But that's in Faux, as well as like Bar Carlo and Off the Griddle. It's super bikeable. Transit is really easy. There's lots of main bus lines, and it's really close to a MAX line. And I think that Faux is going to become like Alberta Arts in the future. The desirability of that neighborhood has gone up considerably. So I think if you invest in FOPO now, you'll be sitting pretty on some pretty good equity 4 or 5 years from now.
Sure.
So
Sure. And it's only gone up. In my old lady opinion, that neighborhood used to be much less expensive than it is now.
yeah.
And so the fact that it is still at an affordable level only gives you an indicator that it's going to continue to move forward as things progress and improve and new things move in and as things change.
The city is making a lot of investments into that inner southeast corridor. There's another neighborhood nearby that they're making a lot of investments in improving the infrastructure and offering grants to small businesses to incentivize more businesses to move to the area and operate out of that area. Also, you should know that like while list prices are around $450, you should expect to pay 5 to 10% more than list if you're going to buy in FOPO, just because there's so little inventory because it is a small area and people snap them up quick.
Okay.
So
I happened to think about it just now as you said FOPO. Sometimes in this town, the naming of neighborhoods isn't super obvious.
Oh, yeah.
Foster Powell is because it is between the two streets, Foster and Powell.
Correct.
The other ones, Cully, I am assuming there is some historical reference about that. And same with Brentwood Darlington, there must be a historical reference. But Foster Powell, the only one on this list, actually is because of its street names and makes sense.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Portland has something like 70 or 80 plus distinctive neighborhoods. And the neighborhood system in Portland is part of what makes the city so cool, is because it's almost like creating mini cities within a city, and people get really into their neighborhood. Like people have a lot of neighborhood pride. Most neighborhoods have like events every year, and most of them have their own little downtown core area that will usually grow as the neighborhood grows. So like Foster Powell or FOPO started, there wasn't a lot there. And slowly but surely, all of the business spaces down there are filling out with really cool things.
It's how we identify ourselves, because we're all from Portland, and Portland is it's not a large city, but for us, it is large. It is sizable. It covers a big area. And so if you want to figure out where in the city you live, you identify yourself by your neighborhood. Yes.
So if I hear someone lives in St. John's or FOPO, I know what part of the city they're in. I know how far they are from me. I know if I want to be friends with them.
Judge you based on the neighborhood that you live in.
There is some like neighborhood competition. Like there's a definite East Side, West Side thing that happens. For example, I live on the East Side. Shannon lives on the West Side.
West Side's the best side.
And I strongly don't agree with that, but I do. It is beautiful over here. I will give it that.
And I will tell you that this list was made by Sorcha, and not one of the neighborhoods is on the West Side.
Largely because none of the West Side neighborhoods are affordable. The West Side is not where you go for affordability.
It's technically not Portland either. So I guess we're getting down to technicalities.
And this wasn't because I was trying to exclude neighborhoods on the West Side. There just literally isn't one where the median price point sits at where we're looking with the $425 to $550 range.
Right, for a first-time buyer. Unless you go pretty far out. You'd have to get outside of Portland and go further west to get back to that price point. In which case, that's not
Portland anymore. Also, and this doesn't mean that there aren't affordable homes in these price points on the West Side. It just means that their median price point was higher. I looked specifically for places where the median was right in that range. But like you can find a cute little 3-bedroom, 1-bath in like Multnomah Village for $500. You could do that. That's doable. I've seen them.
I'd live in Multnomah Village.
Multnomah Village is cute. It's a cute one. That would probably be the only one that might have made the list, but the median price point was like $50K higher than what we're looking at.
Yeah. So we'll stick with our original list. That's okay. So the next one down our list, number 4, is Home of Sorcha and Matt. It's Lentz.
It's Lentz. I am a lentil. That is what we call ourselves for lentils. I don't actually know who named Lentz. I assume it's named for the park.
I'm assuming it's a person at some point.
I assume that some historic person in Portland, but it's mostly associated with its huge park. We have the second largest park in the city, actually, is in Lentz. And the first one being, I think, Washington Park. Or Forest Park being the largest one. But yeah, Lentz has a huge park. It's one of the fastest growing neighborhoods in Southeast Portland. And it's also one of the largest neighborhoods in Southeast Portland. We have a little semi-pro baseball team that operates out of Lents called the Portland Pickles.
Yep.
So you can go walk to baseball games. We have breweries and a really great Italian bakery. Really solid walk-in transit scores. And there are 2 Max lines in the Lents neighborhood that are like easy to walk to if you live in Lents.
Okay.
But I think the best part about Lents for first-time buyers is that the median sale price from 21 to 22 was $400,000.
Excellent. That's the lowest of our list so far.
It is. And as a whole, Portland has been increasing at like a 13%
Swings.
rate. Like 21 to 22, it went up 13%. But from 21 to 22 in Lents, it went up 18%.
So that tells me that 400 median price isn't going to last long.
No, it won't. But there is, because it's a larger neighborhood, there's more volume of inventory,
Sure.
which is great for first-time buyers. A lot of times people will focus on a neighborhood because they love that neighborhood. And one of the problems is some of these neighborhoods are literally like 10 blocks wide. They're not super huge. So it makes it hard to find properties, and then you have to compete because there's not a ton. Whereas Lents is big. So there is actually a lot of inventory available.
There's a lot of activity and movement.
Yeah. So you have a higher likelihood of snagging something in Lents than other places. I will say we're a transitioning neighborhood, and that is a nice way of saying we do have transient activity. There is definitely crime stuff that comes up. I don't want to sugarcoat that it's not an urban neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it is really cute. The people who live there are very proud of being Lentils. And it is one that I think that in the next 5 to 7 years will become a lot like Alberta Arts, because this is what Alberta Arts District was like.
Sure.
15 years ago.
Yep.
15 years ago, you didn't want to live in the Alberta Arts District. It wasn't a nice place to live. And now everyone wants to be there. Lents is similar in that, Lents and Foster Pell are similar in that way because they have bustling commercial districts within walking distance to the core neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
On its way up.
On its way up.
Get in while you can.
Yeah. I bought my house for $420 in 21.
Okay.
And I just did a CMA on it, $525.
Excellent.
So it's going up pretty aggressively.
Take your money and run.
No, I'm going to hang on to this
All
place.
right. You're going to stay a Lentil. That's okay.
All right.
So we're flying right through this. We're already on number 5.
Lastly, but not leastly,
is St. John's.
So St. John's is really known for the diversity of architecture and its proximity to the river. Mm-hmm. It feels super quaint and idyllic, and it has a really, really charming downtown core. Mm-hmm. But St. John's used to be a place that people didn't go.
That was a working class neighborhood.
Yeah.
Is a nice way to say.
Yeah.
A nice way to say it.
Yeah, it used to be a place, when I moved here 10 years ago and I wanted to look in St. John's, the realtor I was working with at the time was like, oh, you don't want to look up there, which technically he should not have said. But he's like, it's just kind of rougher. And I so wish I would have bought in St. John's back then, because I would be sitting pretty on a big old pile of equity. I could have bought a home in St. John's for $150K then.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Okay. But you can still buy one now.
But now the average list price in St. John's is $400.
That's not terrible.
It's not, but it's gone up really aggressively. Versus Lents, when I moved here, was in the 200s.
Sure.
You could get a home in St. John's for under $200 back then.
Sure. Of all of the 5, I know I said it about Coley, but of the 5, I feel that St. John's is its most island neighborhood. You have to make a concerted effort to get there and get out of there. Yes,
I would agree. It has so much, and it has a lot to offer, so that you can totally independently live in St. John's and not have to go anywhere.
And I think a lot of people do.
And I think a lot of people do as well. But the thing about St. John's is it is kind of the northern peak of Portland, of North Portland. And there are bridges to get out. You don't leave St. John's pretty much without going over a bridge. Mm-hmm. You could drive through the east side of Portland or across to the east side, but it is its own thing. So this is a great neighborhood, I would say, for people who work from home, who want to be in a super walkable neighborhood. It's also really close to the University of Portland. So if you're thinking I want to buy an investment property, St. John's would be a great place
to rent to college students.
Yep. So it would make a great college rental. You would always have tenants. There's a whole other level of landlording when it comes to college rentals, just to keep that in mind.
Yes.
Think about how you were in college and then consider if a college rental is for you. But there's actually a really big volume of really cute character homes in Lents.
Yes.
So like for my people who...
St. John's.
In St. John's, thank you. For my people who work from home and want a character home, I usually show them St. John's because there are so many cute little Victorian buttons all over the place.
It is a cute neighborhood.
It's really cute.
Yeah. So...
But yeah.
And also still affordable. What does it say here? That, however, if the average list price is $400, can I get a house for $400?
In all likelihood, you're going to be paying 15 to 25% over that asking price.
All right.
So just know when you see 400 in St. John's, calculate 15 to 25% more than that.
You're going to have competition and you're going to have to up it together.
Yeah.
So why do they start them listing at 400 then if we know that we're going to need to pay more?
My theory is that I think that a lot of agents in Portland who have been here a while have kind of a biased perspective on that neighborhood and often list under because of the concerns about people commuting that has happened with St. John's. But I think with the shift in the workforce that came with COVID and working from home, we no longer have to price things thinking that like it's not going to be attractive to commuters there because so many people are looking for the lifestyle that St. John's offers. Okay. But yeah, I think that the big thing is its location being so far removed from the rest of the city,
which could be a blessing.
Yeah. Some people are real into it.
Yeah.
Like I've taken people up there and they'll be like, I feel like we're not in Portland, but we are in Portland. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's super cute. It also, if you do water sports, you should definitely check out St. John's. It is the only East Side neighborhood that has water access outside of Selwood for the public. Everything else is commercial water access near the waterfront in Central Southeast. And then there's Oaks Park in Selwood, but you got to pay a premium to live in Selwood.
Yeah. And every cute postcard of Portland that you see with the big pointy bridge and the very cute green park, that's Cathedral Park, and that comes out of St. John's.
Yep. Cathedral Park is real cool. But yeah, that's it. So in conclusion, St. John's, Lents, Foster Powell, Cully, and Brentwood Darlington, I think they're the neighborhoods to watch. And if you're a first-time home buyer thinking that you want to leverage your property as a rental or take the equity from it and rent it out when you move on to your next home, these are the neighborhoods to do that in. They're going to see, in all likelihood, big rates of return because they're getting more and more popular, but they're still affordable for first-time buyers. It's not going to stay that way. It never does.
So get in while you can and then make your plan about what you're going to do with your property once you've amassed some appreciation, you've paid down some principal, and what your plan is going forward with your next houses. This might be a great stepping stone to get you moving forward.
Yep. And if you are looking for a home in the Portland metro area, I would love to help you find one. You can reach me through our website at theladdercast.com. Click the button that says Work with Sorcha. And if you're looking for a lender anywhere in the United States, you can reach Shannon at theladdercast.com and click on the button that says Work with Shannon.
I can help you. So, and we can answer questions.
We can. Oh, you can message us. We'll message you back. That's a thing too.
Yeah.
So we are happy to do that. Feel free to hit the Contact Us button on that same website. So without further ado, thank you for listening. Please give us a like, subscribe, share it with a friend who needs to hear this. And maybe go listen to some other episodes. They're pretty good.
That'd be pretty cool. All right. Until then, next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.